now that we have our terminal pin in, we're going to work with our two-way switch. You'll notice the switch has 6 brass pins on top and 2 silver pins that are more holding it in place and grounding it. You know it's the two-way switch because it's either left or right. There's no center moment in the switch. So that's the two-way switch that we're going to do. Now we don't need these long pins to actually stick into the circuit board. So we're going to take and trim off the excess of pins 4, 5, and 6. Those are the longer pins that come into the top side of the switch, and you can see I'm just gripping that with my side cutters and taking them right off. So you still have the large fan plates. And pin 4 we're actually not really going to use in this one, so we can take it off a little further back there. So in the end, I've got one that looks like this. And now that will set down easily into our circuit board. And this is going to go into the pad side of the circuit board. You are going to need 2 things that you've already made here. So, tight fit. So that seats down in like that. Now this capacitor that we installed is going to be connected to pin 6, and the free leg of the resistor that's over here is going to go to pin 5, or the one that's in the middle. So there we go. That is the goal. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you can keep the actual switch in place as you are working. So I'm going to go ahead and solder the 2 ground connections in, and really I'm just going to solder one in first because that's going to hold it, and if it's not flush I can go back and make necessary adjustments. I don't want to do all 5 because then I can't adjust anything. So there's one in, and now my switch is good and secure. So now I can finish the other 5 pretty easily, or the other 4 I should say. They're pretty tight and close together, so just use your good skills that you've learned and find new and fun angles to approach with. Remember, this doesn't require a ton of solder, so don't get big globs on your iron. That will not help you in this process. It will actually hurt you. As far as that goes, okay. So now the switch is actually in place and installed. So we're going to now solder pin 5 first, because it's going to be the trickiest of the ones because it's in the middle, and then we can go on to pin 6. We still have to make sure that leg of the resistor is up and wrapped around the center terminal post, so make sure that it's actually snugged up, and then it's going to be connected to pin number 5 right there. So Just taking my time to make sure that it's wrapped, and I like the way it's wrapped, so I can get my tweezers out and push just a little bit to make sure it's touching that post. Be careful that you don't make the post lean too much. Yeah, looks like good positioning right there. So I'm going to strap back into my PCB holder this time. You don't need a lot of pressure to hold this in place at this point, so just be smart. Don't bend any components that you don't have to bend. So now we're just going in and connecting. This will require a bit more solder, truthfully. If it's a lot bigger connection, you want to make sure it's nice and flush. Beautiful, beautiful. Let me flip that around and show it to you. See in there how that leg comes right up the edge, touches and goes out the top. That's what we're looking for there. Now we're going to come over to this side. Make sure our little capacitor guy is touching. His leg is really short. So get some solder on there. Drip in. Make sure that lag post is good and connected. I'm going to double check that that's a good joint by taking my tweezers and giving it a little wiggle right there. It's not moving. So I feel like we are good and secure there. There we go. Now we can trim the excess of that tall resistor switch off. We don't need it anymore. And there we have an installed switch, two-way switch with the right components set. This is actually, this capacitor is going to be doing the pad cut, so it'll cut 10 decibels off the entire frequency of the microphone in the end. So that's what the function of that one is. So that's pretty cool.